Good morning. I said good morning. Happy Friday, happy Friday, whatever this day is to you. I just hope it starts with happiness because it is officially the 25th of the month. And for those of us who sadly have to live month to month sometimes, that means it's a good day indeed. And if you are banking with the correct bank, then it means that notification has already arrived. It's gone ding ding, and your salary is in your account. Or if not, hopefully it's on the way. Welcome to the Gareth Cliff Show. My name is Leigh-Ann, and I'm with you all the way until 8 o'clock. I'm not going to be alone today. We do have some guests. We've got some co-hosts. It's actually just going to be a fire show. My favorite thing about Fridays, right? Not only is it because it's the start of the weekend, meaning team more sleep, team rest, team whatever you want to call it. But most importantly, it means no politics Friday. I mean, I feel as though what we do on the show is that we dedicate our Thursdays to politics. I mean, we have the Burning Platform. We have Pumi with us, she lives and breathes that life. So it's always very, very nice to have her embody it. So Fridays are more relaxed. Fridays are more chilled. Fridays are just the days that I personally, as an individual, am more interested in laughing and being entertained and not constantly have to think about the things that happen in this country, which are, maybe not always the best things. But the nice thing is that, look, it is what it is. If something pops up, then, we can't ignore it. So I'm going to try my best to keep it clean, to stay away from politics, and just let's have fun, let's have a good time, let's joll, and let's make it shake. So if you are tuned in live on the YouTube page, well done. You can subscribe, click all those nice fancy things, the bells, the whistles, the notifications, whatever the kids call them these days. And if you're listening via the app, that's also very cool too, because that means we must sound very, very important and very clear. Like, our audio game is always on point on the app. I'm always so impressed with us. So kudos to you as well. Good morning, Leigh-Ann. How you doing?
Good morning.
How are you? I'm right though, hey? We're just we sound so important.
We can't help ourselves, can we?
We can't. Just look at us. Just two girls with great voices. Thank you, God. It's Friday, dude. I'm personally so chuffed. Because I live in the real world, so it means it's payday. I'm a little bit anxious. It feels like I've had money for so long.
Yeah, listen, there's been there's January, and then there's February to kind of recover from that. And it's a short month, but then if you work, if you're paid per day or per hour, February's a bit of a stuff up, right? Because there's so few days.
Yeah.
And then March comes around and we're still just crawling out of the hole.
Girl, we literally just still trying to make up for the previous month. And it's almost will we really ever get to a point where we're satisfied? Okay, cool, we've made up for everything. Now we're starting afresh. We're quite happy with it all. But yeah, it's one of those things.
I've become very aware of salaries, right? Because I've been on the job market for quite a while. And just the other day, I saw a job that was being advertised where it's an American company that pay in US dollars. And sometimes that can be misleading because you think as a South African, oh, I'm being paid in dollars or pounds. But, I work for a company where I am being paid in pounds. But the thing is, they're very clever. They don't pay you, obviously, UK rates. They know they're no more. That we don't need that much money to survive. So you get paid in pounds, but it's only a little bit,
It's transfer. I can imagine. That sucks. I thought it was what's written there is exactly what you get. Because obviously, if you see a job on the market and you see how much they pay, the first thing you do is take out your calculator and go,
yes.
This many dollars multiplied by the exchange rate. Oh, I want to be rich. And then actually, I'd be quite.
That's exactly what happened the other day. Is I found this job that was US dollars, and I was like, alarm bells, it's not going to be as good as you think it is. Did the calculations, and it actually does work out to over 100,000 Rand a month. I was like, whoa.
Damn.
Then I noticed that many South Africans, sometimes it tells you how many people have applied for the job, and it was like 300 or 350 people. So,
Yeah.
we're not stupid. These things don't just go over our heads. We're there and ready and waiting.
100%. And if that many people are applying, like, what are the odds? What are the odds that they're gonna say, "Oh my word, Leigh-Ann, that one, she is the one." Like, if your ancestors are like aligned with you and are on your side like that day, then perhaps. But I mean, the odds, it is what it is. But
We've got to be
speaking of
realists as
salary,
well.
we really do. I mean, and everybody's kind of looking for work now. It's pretty hectic. Speaking of salaries, it seems as though Europe is trying to figure out whether they should make everybody's salaries public. I mean, whoa, Europe, what do you mean? That is extremely interesting to me. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so they're deciding on it at the moment.
Mm.
But what's pretty amazing, the impact of it is now what everyone's looking at, and there is something quite predictable about it. That's that finally the gender pay gap will be revealed, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
So there is a Twitter account called Gender Pay Gap Bot, but it's actually not.
Love it.
It's not. It's not generally a bot.
It's probably
run
definitely a
by
person.
yeah. It's run by a Manchester-based copywriter, Francesca
Mhm.
Lawson, and her software company, and they have this whole. Okay, so McKinsey, which is this well-known management consulting firm, they posted this promotional video with a message that read, "Meet Francesca. I believe that no mountain is too high to climb." And then the bot underneath that points out that the firm pays women 22.3% less than men. Similarly, when fintech company Go Cardless promoted quotes from a woman that included best advice, feedback is a gift, the gender pay gap bot provided some of its own advice, saying, note that this company pays women 19.9% less than men.
Damn, so it's exposing everyone.
It's exposing in hundreds of tweets. This bot has shown that very few of these outspoken companies that talk about, women empowerment are not actually paying men and women equally. So this transparency thing that comes out, which is broadcasting exactly what everyone earns, is preparing everyone to reveal this gender pay gap. Even in the EU, the pay gap is 14.1%. So yeah, the EU Commission has actually presented to the EU Parliament saying, let's legislate pay transparency. Let's enforce measures for all types of workers in the EU member states for the first time. And obviously, it's going to give employees the right to request more information on pay levels when they are, applying for jobs. These things aren't, I mean, out of the hundreds of applications that you or I might put in, we only know the salary of 2% of them. It's never advertised.
Exactly. It just sounds like it would cause a lot of chaos, but the right type of chaos.
Yeah.
Not the chaos that you don't want to be a part of, the chaos where you're like, yes, actually, this is something I can jump onto, because generally, like, I always kind of see, like, whether it's in the form of tweets or threads or whatever, people are like, if you're going for a job interview, this is what you need to know. People are always advising you on what you should be asking, what the market rate is at the moment. And there's this kind of thing where, you kind of undercut yourself. You don't want to come across as like, when they ask you, like, what's your salary expectation, you don't want to really go there, like, taking it full heat to the top, because you just want the job. So sometimes if you don't know, you'll just be like, no, I'll just take British International. And they just go, whoa, this person only hired because they are going to, recoup way more of that money. So if now we're in a situation where everybody's salaries, exactly, your grandmother, how much she earns, you'll know. your boyfriend, how much he earns, you'll know. It is going to change the dynamic of so many things. But most importantly, I envision a lot more of these union groups coming out and saying, yeah, you see, why are men earning more? Ba da ba, ba da ba. And I'm for it. I am absolutely for it.
Yeah.
I think it's a vibe. Lemii, good morning. Welcome to the show. You've actually come in at
Morning.
the right time because we are
Morning,
speaking about
ladies.
money, which is maybe your favorite thing. What do you think about this? Do you think that, people's salaries should become transparent? Like everybody can access that information. We must all know how much everyone earns.
Morning, ladies. First and foremost, I hope you guys are doing great this morning. I absolutely agree. I think that kind of takes the power away from like corporates of exploiting people. We there's always been this rule in corporate where they're like, don't ever discuss your salaries, because
Mm,
it's very confidential. And I think it's solely because of that purpose, of underpaying certain people unfairly. So I think it's definitely, we should definitely start moving towards transparency of salaries, not because we want to know, how much the CEO is making, how much this guy is making, but just so we know that we're getting paid fairly.
Look, I
Yeah.
want to know. I want to know
It's
what
that,
Cyril.
but sorry.
Go
It's
for
that
it,
as
Leah.
well, but it's also, it could prove to be really motivational. I mean, if
Mm,
you're sitting in a certain position at work and you know how much you earn, and you know your colleagues who are on the same level, none of you really know what the next level earns. If you
Mhm.
did, it might be really motivational for you to say, hang on, for an extra 40,000 Rand a month, I think I might be able to do that. And I'm going to
Yeah.
train myself or go for training and motivate myself to get there.
100%, 100%. I would encourage it. But I do know, like, human beings are human beings. In as much as, in an ideal world, we want to look at like the positives and like, yeah, it'll motivate me, it'll encourage me. It'll also bring a lot of like weird energy because like if you started at a company with somebody like 20 years ago and you guys started together and you find out that that person is earning maybe an extra 70, but you're still in the same job, that will crush you. That will because you'll start asking yourself, how? What have we been doing differently? He hasn't been working overtime. She hasn't been working overtime, and it could just lead to funny things. But I think like the people at the highest levels, the CEOs, definitely start there, and most of them already, I think we have access to
Yeah.
what some of them earn. Just so now, but they're trying to do the whole look at me, I'm so transparent with how much I earn. We see the hundreds and thousands and millions and whatever, but take it to the top. Let it flow across the board, and hopefully it can solve some of
Yeah.
our
That,
problems.
in my mind, it would probably have to be introduced in like a tiered fashion.
Mm,
So let's say perhaps at Cliff Central, the people who work there already, their salaries
mm,
don't become transparent. But anyone new joining, their position will come with a salary that's listed and available to everybody. But I think,
mm.
within the company, it would be quite devastating
Yeah,
because
no,
there have
people would
been
faint.
people who there have been people who've said, I really need help this year. My family, my what people going to school,
Mm,
um, and there might have been a concession for them. And since then, they've got raises on top of that. So it would have to
mm.
be like a starting fresh approach and leave the old ones alone.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that in itself would also cause like its own things. Like, you'd come into a new workplace with the pressure of, oh, now everybody knows what I'm earning, but I don't know what they're earning. I don't know what it would do for workplace dynamics, is
Oh
ultimately what.
yeah.
Yeah, like when you guys are having lunch, it's like, yeah, so Chomi, what are you doing later? Like, now that it's payday, you sip tea while you're really trying to find out how much is this person earning. It could
Yeah.
get messy. And it's something that we say often on the show that the closer to your chest you keep your earnings, the better. Even with family. Like you don't want to tell your parents, you don't
Mm.
want to tell your siblings. The only person
Definitely.
that you tell is like your partner. So now imagine if they could just go online and see for themselves. Oh, that's what my daughter's earning.
Well,
I
that's
don't.
the thing. You'll be going out for lunch with your friends or family or a colleague, maybe even just getting a coffee. and they might think, hey, but you're earning 10,000 Rand more than me per month, so you
It's on
actually
you.
should buy this coffee.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting take. In the comments, parallel parking is saying, can we also then have transparency on what people spend their money on? Just so we can shame people who buy more stuff than us.
Oh,
I mean,
no ways. Oh, no ways. No ways. No way.
No.
I'm all for transparency of the salary, but definitely not what I'm spending it on, you know?
I mean, just so we know where your minerals lie, so we can say, oh, you know what, Leigh-Ann's not gonna afford this coffee because I know she's spending 80% of her salary on like her renovations at her house or whatever the case is. I'm quite for that. I think that this could be a very good idea. Parallel parking, you're onto something.
Oh, I don't know.
I,
If they, yeah, go on.
I think we're just gonna expose more skeletons than we're gonna do good with,
Exactly.
telling people what they're spending on.
That is very true. Luzand in the comments is saying private companies don't have to disclose financials, whereas public companies do because there's a public interest. So, what interest do we have in anyone else's earnings except for being nosy? Correct. Also, Luzand, we like people's business. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. Like, other people's business is entertaining. It's like, what? What's going on? Ooh, ah. So, if you have access to this information and it's given to you readily, depending on the kind of person you are, maybe you'll be like, oh, no, thank you. But most people are going to take a screenshot of that and put it on social media. That's just
That's
the
true.
world we live in. Like, it's sad times. It's tough. But yeah, it's the 25th today. So if you are expecting some racks, just budget. Make sure that you're safe. You don't want to wake up on Monday having spent half, and then you've got like,
More than
like,
half as the debit orders go off.
Hey,
and you know those debit orders, they don't wait.
they don't ask for permission. They don't ask for permission. You just find them chilling on your statements already, like, oh, this has already gone out. This has already gone out. So debit orders don't even ask for permission.
Nah. They're bigger than us. They are bigger than us. Like,
Yeah.
that's that on that. Moonchild in the comments is saying, if our salaries were revealed and I found out that my colleagues on the same level are earning more than me, things will get ugly. And I spoke to this earlier. That's my worry, is that there's no real
Yeah.
explanation, for that. And if it doesn't make sense, then it'll cause some sort of conflict in the workplace. Lindy Nduli saying, I worked for a place that was transparent with salaries and it actually worked well. Although you didn't know what the exact number was, you'd know the scale per grade. Example, band X earns between 100 and 200K. That's a start. That's a start. Maybe that's the way to go about it.
I think that would make better sense instead of like telling everyone exactly how much everyone earns. So yeah, man, I think that actually kind of works better.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite a common thing in big corporates. And the other way around this is to get a job in human resources, and then you'll know what everyone earns.
Yeah, no, but being in HR, it sounds like there's a lot of pressure, like having to manage that many people and all their expectations and all their grievances.
Yeah.
You need to be a certain type of person to be able to say, I am the HR manager and I like it. I actually like it here. Oh no.
That's so true. If I worked in HR, I'd probably allow office romance just to spice up my daily life, just to deal with a lot more better stuff than just corporate drama. I'd like some actual real drama in the workplace.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but office romance.
You would be surprised how busy and very unboring your day as an HR manager is without the office romances. I don't think people realize how much HR actually deals with. There are a lot of people who, especially in big corporates, who don't share what they're going through with anyone else. They just share it with HR. So they're probably carrying burdens and secrets. So
I think it's also like part-time psychology. Like, maybe I'm wrong. It seems like it's a bit of a part-time psychology type role. I mean, Lindy Nduli says she's in HR. Maybe she can help. It just does seem like people come to you and offload. And once they've offloaded, it's like you must come up with a solution. But you always have to be fair because you have to consider the rest of the colleagues and everybody's side and what. If it gets to the point of like, okay, we need to have a hearing because we can't find a solution, then it's just like, oh, what is this court? I don't know. These are just like assumptions I'm making from the outside looking in. But if you are in HR, kudos to you, man. Like, we need people like you in the world. Like, because otherwise, it would be cap for all of us. Okay, Vierson has something to say. He says, an accountant friend of mine in Nedbank was sent the staff salaries by mistake. She found out her friend earned half the amount of another colleague doing the same job.
Oh,
that doesn't sound
what
like
do
it
you
ended
do with
well.
that information?
Yeah.
You share it.
I think that's where you have to go. You maybe don't tell the full truth. This is where these little white lies can kind of save your butt sometimes. But maybe say, encourage that person to apply for a raise. Maybe say, I know someone in another company who's doing your job and earns more.
But are we now taking into consideration like the experience that everybody has, like in the same role? Because we might be doing the same role, but I might have more experience in it and maybe earn a little more. Are we now assuming that everybody's got the same experience in the same role?
I mean, surely that has to be taken into consideration.
Of course. If in order to land the job, you need 3 years experience, you need a degree, and whatever else they ask for, we assume that you have those things and you qualify. What this will do is it'll expose that your grandmother's late friend's cousin's son is actually the person that owns the company, and that's how you got the job. It will just open a can of worms that I'm not sure society's really ready to get into. But look, let Europe lead by example. This is something that they're thinking about. They just, they're deciding if they want to do that. So I guess they'll show us how it goes. I actually didn't get a chance to introduce you, Lemii. I kind of just threw you into the show. So I was just like, well, he's here, boom, inside. Yeah, so I wanted you to just like introduce yourself, let people know why you're here, and also what you're up to, why you have so many followers. I mean, some of us are just like average people. We don't have like a gazillion followers.
Oh, wow.
You seem to be like, tell us why you're famous, all of those things. Yeah, and obviously welcome to the show, of course.
Thank you so much for having me. For those who don't know, my name is Lemii LoCo, aka Send Your Yellow Money, aka Homework, aka Do You Have Money. I'm a content creator, a lover of life, a lover of laughing, and most importantly, a self-accredited, emphasis on self-accredited relationship expert. Because you have to take my advice with a pinch of salt. You know what I mean?
So are you qualified at all for this, or is this like you've just given yourself this position?
Yeah, this is why I have
qualifications,
hey?
Yeah.
This is why I had to emphasize on the self-accredited.
Yes. Hey, but listen, that's where experience really does count.
Yeah,
100%. I always say, like, if you look at all the sports people, like the soccer guys and the golf guys, they didn't have to get a degree to be the best in the world. So I don't need a degree to give advice. I might just be the best relationship expert out there.
Okay. So I know who not to go to when I need relationship. But on the real, Lemii, you've kind of taken content creation to like a really exciting level. You've taken it like quite to the top. Obviously, like it's now become your, dare I say, your 9 to 5. It's what you do for a living, and people recognize you for it. Just on the content creation side, what's the kind of work that actually goes into it? Because there's this perception that, oh, it's easy. You just kind of, click your camera and say some funny shit and then hope that you go viral. But it also is kind of seeming like you have to plan and this and that, and you can't just, go. What's the real work that goes into being a content creator?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. There's a lot of planning, like any other work, I think what's confusing with content creation is that it's so accessible to everyone. We've got all these amazing platforms. We've got Instagram, we've got Twitter, we've got now TikTok that's taken the world by storm. And people think, you just go on there, you get a viral video and everything, and the money just starts rolling in. And that's not exactly how it works, because I mean, like any other career, you know, people that want to work with you, people that want to pay you to do what you do, they have to see some sort of organization, they have to see some sort of direction. And fortunately for me, I was a content creator long before I sort of got the shine of being a content creator. And I kind of like got into the groove of the work ethic. I think the most important thing in content creation is like the work ethic, and just kind of focusing your finding your niche rather in what you're doing, because there's so many people that do a lot of things. There's people that do content for makeup, people that do fashion, people that do comedy like myself. So it's all about just finding your niche and kind of like, you know, dotting your I's and crossing your T's in terms of how you present your content and how consistent you are with the content. And once you start getting work, you know, everybody always asks, like, how do you make money from all of this? The big bucks is with the brands. And I'll tell everybody that right now. You know, the big bucks is always with the brands. And that's where it's important to kind of like make sure you're well organized, you know, you kind of like focused, and you found your niche so that you know what you're offering to the audience. Because when brands then come knocking on the doors, a lot of the times you're not just talent, but you're kind of like helping putting the content together, and it has to make sense for what they're trying to achieve. So yeah, man, it's really exciting, and I see like a lot of people getting into it, young, old, you know, from every corner of the earth. And yeah, it's just an exciting space.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. It seems like it's feeding a lot of the kids, you know, the fact that you have this option as a form of income is really exciting. But there are obviously some pros and cons to that. Just to quickly go to the comment section. Tiger DC saying, Lemii, where can we get your relationship advice? So I think this is what we should do. If you'd like relationship advice, let's just do it live right here, right now. Post it in the comments. Question. Lemii is here till 8. Let's use him while we can. I think let's just do it live. You know, a lot of people are in love. A lot of people are in love. A lot of people are looking for love. And you seem like the guy for them. So put your questions in the comment section, and hopefully Lemii can answer right here and help you. You know, because
no pressure.
Yeah, no. None whatsoever. I mean, it's just the internet. It'll live forever.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, dude. I also like how brands are obviously like identifying with, you know, with influencers, and if it's done organically, they actually sometimes really pull off some great campaigns. But then you get situations where brands are obviously seemingly just very desperate to like trend or to look like they're cool or hype or in fashion. What happens when like a brand that you generally don't like mess with at all, like you don't fuck with them at all, they suddenly hit you up? Like if Lilith was to call Lemii LoCo and say, hey, Lemii LoCo, you know, we'd like to work with you. And here's a bar. Like here is like 100,000 rand, like a lot of money. And now you're like, oh, this is off brand, but I want the money. How do you now maneuver that and make it work? Or do you just say no? Because hey, I've seen some campaigns where it's like, yay.
Yeah. You know,
Feels like really
fun.
forced.
Yes. There's a lot of those actually. You know, I've always been a believer of quality over quantity, right? So it's not about how many brands you're working with, but if you're doing the right thing with the brand. Now, it's funny you should mention a brand like Let's, because funny enough, like a good 65 to 75% of my audience on across all social media platforms are actually women. So
Yes.
I get a lot of, so that's what I think about first. Like it's not about, oh no, I'm not a woman, like I don't know, like who am I appealing to? You know, does
100%.
it make sense for me to kind of take on this brand? And does it, because a lot of the times what brands do, then they use agencies, right? And the agencies are the guys that are so disconnected from like what's happening. They'll come up with the campaign, they'll come up with like the script or the idea for the ad. And then, you know, and as a content creator, because you're on the ground, this doesn't make sense. But they feel so offended that somebody like a Lemii, who's only been on the scene for like a year or two, will come and, you know, how dare he come and push back on this idea because, you know, he thinks he's hot. But I never be afraid to say, no, I've turned down a lot of campaigns, you know, with good money, because I was like, this kind of just doesn't make sense, or the agency wasn't open to kind of like me putting in my input, because it's not only detrimental to the brand, it's detrimental to the content creator, because you also look silly like on that ad. And when everybody gets backlash, it's funny, I was talking to my girlfriend about a campaign that somebody got over me that we had been kind of like chasing for a while. When the campaign rolled out, you get, and social media, everybody's active, everybody's got their own opinion. And in the comments of that ad with the other creator, everybody was just so disappointed. And I was like, understandably so. As much as we'd also chase, content creators make the mistake of chasing or taking a campaign because of the money. Brands do the same mistake as well. Agencies do the same mistake as well. They're like, oh, Lemmie's so expensive. We could get 3 people for that amount and get them to push that. And that's exactly what the brand did. And it was terrible. There's a reason why, people charge what they charge. Speaking about salaries earlier on, there's a reason why people charge what they charge, because we're on the ground. We know what we're doing. There's a reason why when you were sitting in that boardroom meeting, you're like, oh, snap, Lemmie's like the perfect guy for this. But then when the costing comes back, you're like, no, let's go for those other cheaper guys. And then you find, when the internet comes raining down on you, it feels like the worst day of your life, especially as a brand. So, it's always about finding the quality in your work that's most important over what the pay is. And, this brand is going to look good on my resume, so let me just jump on it. If it doesn't make sense, then don't do it.
Let it go. Ish, but the bag, sometimes it's hard to say no, man. If that bag is looking good, hey, a clean 60,000 rand just for one tweet.
I always say there's this line that goes around on social media. It says, we're not here for a long time, but we're here for a good time.
Good time,
right?
yeah.
I'm actually here for a long time. I'm not trying to be here for a good time. So it's all about I want to be sustainable. I don't want to be out next season. That's one thing I'm always worried about, is like everything took off so quickly. It kind of makes you nervous, like, oh, is this gonna die out as quickly as it kind of like sparked up? So that's why I'm very conscious, and I encourage other content creators to be very conscious of how you position your brand in with your audience, as well as brands who want to work with you. There's nothing wrong in letting go of the smaller fish in order to catch the big fish.
Man, said like a real good advisor of things. Like you just hit the nail on the head there. So it's just past 6:30. We have to get into some headlines, because I don't want you, after listening to this, to not know what's actually going on in the world. So we'll kickstart with a story about the Taxi Association, who has handed over a list of demands after unfortunate violent protests in the Cape Town area. So it seems like a lot is just generally happening this week with like taxis, like whether it's like taxis or e-hailings or Uber, Bolt. A lot's happening. Everybody wants something from the government, or everybody wants some sort of change. It seems like the taxi operators in Cape Town CBD on Thursday marched to the provincial legislature to hand over a list of demands which called for the scrapping of industry-specific legislation and making it easier to obtain licenses. And thousands of taxi operators traveled into the city center yesterday, causing major traffic congestion on the N2. And the protest unfortunately turned violent in some of these areas, with 3 buses set alight and other vehicles being stoned. Now, it's very rare to hear that there was like a taxi march or a taxi protest, and it doesn't immediately affect everyone. When you think about the amount of people that rely on taxis for transport, number one, and then you think about, oh, now they've blocked the whole highway, so everybody that uses their private vehicles are automatically they fucked. It's always just messy, and it's always just like it's seemingly like an ongoing thing. Although the march was approved from Hanover Street to the provincial legislature, so they did make it. And a convoy of taxis left Khayelitsha and Nyanga yesterday morning, causing all this traffic on the N2 as it moved towards the city center. So the Taxi Association marched to the Premier's office to voice their grievances and to hand over this 3-page memorandum. And they were quite unhappy that Premier Alan Windle was not there to even fetch it himself. And they wanted someone more senior that could actually, like the chairperson or someone of the Road Transportation Board, who who could actually address them, but that didn't happen. So unfortunately, it turned violent. I mean, these
I'm
things.
just imagining planning this enormous strike action and
Huge.
march route and getting all your cronies in and
Your
organizing
cronies,
food and snacks and planning
t-shirts,
the routes,
banners.
getting
Mm.
all the information, and you get there and the guy who runs the coffee shop is the one who accepts your memorandum or your demands.
I'd be so
Wow.
and they really take these things seriously, because for them to organize in that fashion, it's not easy. Like it's really difficult for an entire association to say, okay, guys, on this day we're not working. We're all just gonna stop, turn off the engines, and just start marching. It's difficult to do that. So it's almost disrespectful when you get there and like the person that's like cleaning or the receptionist goes, okay, you can just give it to me. I'll make sure that they get it.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'd totally be mad. In other news, and maybe not so surprising, it would apparently take 115 years to tar Limpopo's roads. This is according to an agency. Now, if you've been to Limpopo, Leigh-Ann, I don't know if you've been there. Lemii, I don't know if you've been there. The state of the roads throughout are horrendous. When you go from the main town into like the little villages, you are basically like the car's doing this the whole time because it's just such an
Oh, man.
uncomfortable. It's horrible. So according to the road agency of Limpopo, they need firstly 138 billion rands to upgrade all gravel roads in the province. And at current funding levels, it's going to take them about 115 years just to tar that. Rough estimates show that the road agency of Limpopo needs that much money just to upgrade all the gravel roads in the province. And it's going to take a while for them to get there. This is according to the performance plan from the ground up report. And however, the provincial state owned agency also, which has been tasked with this planning, designing, construction, management, and controlling and maintenance of all the provincial roads, said it had prioritized to tar at least 3,700 kilometers of the province's 13,000 gravel roads. So again, not surprising that this is coming up. It's going to take you, so the next generation, you guys are going to tar roads now for your grandkids to be able. Oh,
What's crazy about that?
Yeah.
What's crazy about that is that it's not too far off. It doesn't feel too far off from being the truth, but it's also like kind of like a setup for somebody to build themselves some long money. Like, I just want this tender for 115 years. So let's just agree now that I've got this thing for 115 years. It doesn't sound, something's fishy about this. I mean, surely, I know we criticize, our public sector for a lot of things, but surely not 115 years, guys.
Dog.
And plus,
not
can you imagine all the potholes that developed during that time, and you basically have to start from scratch anyway?
100%.
Exactly. Speaking of potholes, side notes, I don't know if you guys saw, I think it was earlier this week, Anelem daughter had tweeted that there's a pothole that took her out, blah, blah, blah. And she was like so frustrated. And then Fikile Mbalula commented on her tweet and said, oh, just send me a DM. Literally, I kid you not. 4 days later, she's like, oh, thank you. It seems like they're fixing the pothole here. And I saw another couple of potholes in Fourways and Kailami also being fixed. I don't know who to thank, but thank you. Ha!
There was a promo. I think Fikile and Anele were, they paid someone to say something so that somebody could look good. I'm not gonna name names. But no, that's too good to be true. Come on, guys.
Dude, but it almost, if it is true, like, isn't that just the shadiest shit ever? So if you want a pothole to be fixed, you need to be on the NLM daughter level. I think we need to start using Gareth correctly. He needs to start tweeting these people direct and saying, yo, Cyril, because that really upset a lot of people.
Gareth tweeting that the Charlotte Maxleke's wing that's never been fixed is bullshit, and then in the next 2 weeks a new wing is built and Gareth's there to launch it and cut the ribbon.
Yo, man, that would be so funny. More local news. I love talking about local news. It excites me. There is an NFT of Mandela's arrest warrant up for grabs. Wait, what? Okay.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I know. And if you know a little bit about NFTs, just know that these things are like gack expensive. And now it seems as though Mandela's arrest warrant is up for grabs. So an NFT version of the 61-year-old arrest warrant for Nelson Mandela will be auctioned off at this weekend in Cape Town. This is according to a digital South African auctioneer. This is what they said. And this original 1961 warrant of arrest for Mandela has been specially minted and will be available 61 years after it was first issued. The startup auctioneer firm announced in a statement. And yeah, look, if this is your vibe, then kudos to you. I personally don't know what I would do with it if I were to acquire it. Maybe like if I was a museum or whatever.
I mean, first of all, somebody needs to explain to me what the hell NFT is, because I've been seeing that flying around everywhere. Oh, NFT this, NFT that. I'm like, I need to get myself an NFT, whatever that is. I need to get myself one of those.
Leigh-Ann,
Well,
can you try?
just know, all I can say is just know that you're not ever going to see that arrest warrant in real life.
Like tangibly, physically.
You don't own the piece of paper. You own a photograph of it.
What?
But you own it. It's yours.
How weird.
Then,
and when I say a photograph, I mean one that's on your screen, not even one that's printed out.
so I'm owning this photograph to do what with it exactly?
To be able to say, I am the person in the world who owns this arrest warrant, the digital format of this arrest warrant, and nobody else does. Like if someone said, oh my gosh, I wonder who owns that arrest warrant from, you can say, I own it. I'm the only person in the world who owns it.
Now I'm convinced the world is actually ending, because now if we're paying so much money for a damn picture of something that nobody actually really needs, now the world can end. I'm cool with it. I'm cool.
Jesus, you can come back, dog. It's
you
very
can come back. We're done. I think we don't know what to do with ourselves anymore. Jesus, just come back, and no ways.
No, the NFT industry is pretty wild. I won't lie to you. It's almost like a bit of a fad, in my opinion, because when it like first came out, everyone was like huffing and puffing and like getting into it and designing all these great things. From my understanding, it's exactly what Leigh-Ann's saying. It's like you own these digital, I guess, assets in the form of visuals, pictures, what, but they are so expensive. That's what flabbergasts me, is that some of them are up in the millions. And for some people, it's like, oh, it's only 46 million. I'll take 2. That time it's like a picture of a monkey, with wearing a New York cap on it. You know what I mean? It's really, it's for rich people to just like have something to do with their money, the way I see it. But to play devil's advocate.
It is a bit of a rich person's playground at the moment, but what I love is what it's done for artists who have been going for years without their work being recognized. But it is becoming beyond that now. Even within the arts, that market's becoming a little bit saturated, and people are getting a bit used to it now. And with something like NFTs, they want you to be confused all the time. So now they're going to start introducing other things.
Yeah, as soon as you start catching on, there'll be a new one.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested in NFTs of me, I'm here. $1 million a pop. You can start bidding in the comments. There's some NFTs available. I'll figure out what an NFT is later, but just send that million. Just wire me that million.
Start with the why of the million, and then the NFT
just start with the money. Start with the money. We'll figure out what the NFT is, but just start with the million.
Speaking of millions, there's 929 million rands that is about to be invested into the South African film and television industry. Guess by who? Our favorite homegirl of streaming, Netflix. What are the odds that after they've said to us, hey guys, we're gonna take away your password sharing, now they've announced that 929 million rands is going to be invested, just just into South African content, which is exciting. So yeah, they're trying to boost subscriber numbers on the continent, obviously, and they're going to pump this amount into the creatives industry by the year 2023, which is also just next year. And with the funds covering 1 international production and 3 local shows. And this is the announcement that was made yesterday at the investment conference in Joburg. And according to them, South Africa is fast becoming a top global location for Netflix productions, with the country viewed as the go-to location with a robust and talented film industry. And this is according to Shola Sani, that's Netflix's director of public policy for sub-Saharan Africa. The investment conference is an annual event that's initiated by Cyril himself, our homeboy. It started in 2018, and it seeks to secure domestic and inbound investment of 1.2 trillion over 5 years. So this is some really great news for those who are involved in film and television on the production side, because it's an opportunity to make some really, really good stories, some really truly South African stories. And absolutely, yes. If you're wandering in town, you're just taking a walk in Joburg CBD, you are most likely going to see a camera crew somewhere. You're going to see those white trucks parked on the side somewhere. This is the location. It definitely is the location. There's just something about Southie, man.
You know, I was excited for these news until I heard Cyril was involved. I don't trust that man with money, so they just killed my mood. They killed my mood. We first there's 500 billion that we don't know where it went. Now there's Netflix money that's gonna get chowed. So we can I was excited until I heard Cyril was involved. So
let's be hopeful. Hey, but it's also like 900 million, dog. Like Cyril will just say, "Okay, guys, here's 4, bye," and then he'll just keep
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know
for someone that's bullying,
yeah, I think somebody, one of these politicians accused Cyril of being like a self-proclaimed billionaire. Like, are you really a billionaire if you're stealing from the people? You know, allegedly stealing from the people. So I don't know. I don't trust the guy.
Let's see. If things do work out, and I know that because I've got a bit of production experience as well. Working with Netflix is not like, it's not a Mickey Mouse organization. It's not a Mickey Mouse operation. They do things right down to the TTT. So
100%,
the production company, there's no opportunity to undercut anyone. They want to see all the people that are going to do in a team. You need at least, however many people. You can't have one person to do 4 jobs like most South African production companies have been doing. With Netflix, they want it down to the T. So I've got a feeling that it might actually work. And it might actually, it might work out, and we could see some really, really good content coming out of this. Look, I said this yesterday. I support anything that's going to like empower the continent and empower my fellow brothers and sisters. I support it. So let's have high hopes. Okay, lastly in the news this morning, not as exciting as the other news, but just to share with you, at least one person has unfortunately been killed, and homes have been destroyed as a large tornado hits New Orleans. When I think New Orleans, I think of Lil Wayne. So in Washington, a large tornado destroyed homes and claimed at least 1 life near the U.S. city of New Orleans. This was on Tuesday night, according to media reports. And that people were being told, take shelter now. People were tweeting and in a bit of a panic that, there's a tornado on the ground in New Orleans. Everybody get cover. And this was also a tweet from the National Weather Services themselves. So it was official. There's severe damages to homes. And according to some of the local police, it generally wasn't pleasant. I mean, it's a tornado. Again,
that poor city, man.
I mean, it's New Orleans.
Hasn't it suffered enough?
Yeah, they it seems like they've got hurricanes almost annually or whatever. But there's floods. Wow.
Yeah,
well, I think maybe just everybody just vacate New Orleans once and for all, and just let the Hurricanes have it.
Yeah, forget
it's not a fight we're gonna win.
Start again.
Just start somewhere else, because clearly, it's not happening there. I mean, we should really be grateful, guys. When last did you hear that in South Africa there's a what? I mean, we just get like tremors and stuff, and we're like, did you feel that? And that's it. Like that's as far as it goes in terms of like things shaking. But like in other parts of the world, they are suffering, man. It's quite sad. It's quite unfortunate. But that's it for the news today. So at least now you've listened to the show and you know that after this you can actually go and share with the world what are some of the things that are going on. You know, we want you to also be informed and stuff. So there was a question, a relationship advice question earlier
Ooh.
on in the comments. So let me put on your
Mhm.
love hats. Put on your love hats. It's time to get into relationship advice mode. Okay, cool. So this one is from Tiger DC. And they're saying, I here goes. I want to know where a relationship is going, but I'm hesitant to ask. It feels a little bit desperate. I like things to be clear so that I can communicate and behave accordingly. What should she do?
I mean, that's 100% fair. You know, you should definitely ask whether you're coming or going with whoever you're trying to get into a relationship with. I feel like everybody's just sneaky these days. You know, everybody just trying to like half-ass their way into a relationship. They got the stop it, I like it vibe always going on because they wanna be able to have all the benefits with none of the responsibilities. So definitely,
Mhm.
it's important to be upfront with, like, what are we doing, guy? Like, are we coming or going? Are we doing this thing? Are we figuring ourselves out? But the communication definitely needs to be clear so that, and more often than not, the women don't overcommit, because it seems like guys a lot these days are half-assing like relationships.
I'm so glad you said that, especially as a guy. It's usually the women who are the ones who are chasing commitment, and it's been
Yeah.
genetically shown
Mm,
that it's a biological thing that we want commitment. I mean, we're going to
Yeah.
have a child with this person biologically.
Mm.
That's how the world is supposed to work.
mm,
And you want to know that that person, that guy, is going to stick around. And
Yeah, 100%.
it's become a thing and a trend where we don't put labels on things anymore. Why do you have to know where this relationship is going? But actually, we do. So thanks as a guy for
Yeah.
saying that.
yeah.
No, 100%. Other than the fact that, there's like more women in the world than there are guys, so there's definitely a shortage of, in that department. But I mean, I feel like a lot of guys are taking advantage of that,
Mm,
uh, of that fact that, a lot of women already know what they want. They know that, I like you, and I'd like to try a relationship with you, and we're just
mm.
out here juggling our options, and like we're just trying to cruise, and just kind of like, oh, we'll see where this goes and whatever. But more often than not, it's just taking advantage of somebody who's willing to, go the extra mile for you when you're not.
Yeah. So long story short, you must ask.
You
You
must
must
ask.
ask.
You must
Yeah.
ask.
Okay.
You must ask. Okay, cool. Another one. Oh, no, I'm kidding. Yo, dude 69, I almost put up the wrong comment. Parallel Parking is saying, Lemmy, if your partner makes you choose between intimacy and an orgasm, which do you choose? This is a
Damn,
serious question, by the way.
damn.
Oi.
That makes you choose between intimacy and an orgasm.
But does
Yo,
that mean that you can have a lifetime of intimacy without ever having an orgasm? Because that's a problem.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, off of the top of my head, I nearly answered that, recklessly, and said, "Oh, obviously, let's go for the orgasm." But I had to
Mm.
step back and maybe think about it for a second. What the question actually is? What do they mean, intimacy versus orgasm? I'm trying to understand that first.
Well, it sounds as though, the intimacy is more of like maybe like the long term, more of the commitmenty, lovey dovey type. Whereas like an orgasm is like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, depending on how you look at it. That's how I see it. But,
Ooh.
you know,
I don't know. I don't know. I think, in our heads, I think in the back of everyone's mind, we'd love to have both. I'd love to have the intimacy of being in a relationship with someone and knowing them beyond the physical level, and like being secure, and like, knowing that this is my partner, and also have all that fun of, like, hey, knock this out the
mm,
park. You know what I
mm,
mean? So I feel like, why would you even want to make someone choose between the two?
But
I,
also,
I,
in order to have intimacy, you generally need another person. But in
mhm.
order to have an orgasm, you can sort that out yourself.
Oh,
oh,
100%.
oh.
Mm,
So
that's a
I like
great
Leanne
point.
so much. Leanne's
that
just
is
out
a
here with the facts. The facts,
that is
honey.
that is a great point. That is a great
It
point. So I
is.
guess it's up to you what you prioritize, because you might not necessarily be in the state of mind to want intimacy, but I don't think anybody would ever say no to an orgasm, right? So I don't know. I guess it just depends on what you want as a person. I don't honestly, I think my answer to that would be I don't know why your partner would make you choose between the two. Because I feel like we're in a relationship, you strive to have both. You know, you
Both,
kind of
yeah.
love to have both. So I don't know why. I think the problem is your partner. The problem is
Yeah,
your partner. Why?
relook your
Yeah,
partner.
man. Yeah, hey, man. Check that partner of yours. I mean, reconsider the partner.
Oh man. Carl Dos Santos, Carl's on a roll today. He's saying intimacy equals cuddles, orgasm equals puddles. Facts. On a more serious note, we have a question from Simcard, and she's saying, Lemii, what are your thoughts on situationships? I also want to
Hey,
know this.
leave that thing alone. Leave that thing alone. That thing. Yay, leave that thing
Poison.
alone. Yeah, that thing's for Americans, guys. Yeah, this out there leave, you know, because I feel like there's such a huge difference between and I could be wrong, you know, but there feels like such a huge difference between how Americans do relationships and stuff and how we do relationships. You know, we're still more stuck on the traditional ways of
Mhm.
relationshiping. You know, we
Mm,
we, we like going on dates, we like getting to know our partner, and all of that is with the intent of getting into a serious relationship. Where
mm,
in America they've shoved all these new like situations like vibing and dating and what and I was told there's a difference between dating, vibing, and a relationship. Like, yay, leave that thing alone. The moment we need to dissect situationships, like I said earlier, situationships are only for people who want all of the benefits and none of the responsibility. I want to
mm,
be You have to be accessible, you have to be on call, but I don't need to deal with things like your emotions and kind of like showing a little effort. I'm not a fan of situationships because I feel like they do more damage than they do good.
mm,
I don't take away the fact that in certain situations, it's kind of needed. Sometimes you're in that little gray area of your life when it comes to romance where you feel like, oh, you'd like a bit of company, you'd like an orgasm or two from an actual human being, but you're still trying to figure yourself out in
mm.
terms of like relationship space. But overall, I'm not a fan of situationships. I tell people to stay away from them because they just confuse you more than they benefit you.
Speaking of confusion, Happiness is actually asking, what is the definition of a situationship? Because another comment, she's saying, but I heard got the situationship. So
That's
you're guaranteed to get hurt,
yeah.
basically. What
It's a
is
hun-
a
it,
situationship?
it's like it's certain. With situationships, it's certain. There's always one person that comes out of that situationship regretting it. Like, oh, dude,
Mm,
and there's always like there's the lines are always blurred when it comes to respect because what am I where do I draw the line? Like, can we be in a situationship and then we just bump into a party and I'm with somebody else and I act like I don't know you? Or do I greet you while holding on to the waist of somebody else? Like, where's the respect? Where do we now say, oh, okay, this is not acceptable in a situationship? Because there's no rules in a situationship. It's just,
mm,
okay, we're on call. If you need me, you can call me. If I need you, you can call me. We just rocking, you know. So like, I feel like, guys, it's really not worth all. Like, sometimes you get really, there's people that have asked me like questions, or have told me situations rather where a situationship has really scarred them unnecessarily. This is from somebody who had no intention of having anything serious with you, and they've actually brought more damage than your last relationship.
mm.
So I feel like it's too compromising of a scenario to to kind of like put yourself in. I think, guys, just leave that
Let it
thing
go.
alone. Leave that thing
Leave
alone.
it alone. Ooh, Kuhle Nkosi is saying a situationship equals friends with benefits, basically. It's just like maybe a new term for it. Yeah, an entanglement, according to Lindin Tuli. Yes, you guys are correct.
I
So you
think
guys know.
entanglement is right. I think entanglement is actually more accurate than friends with benefits, because with situationship, the friend part is very, it's
even
a gray
that's
area.
questionable.
That's questionable, because
Yeah.
like I said, the biggest problem is the respect. Like, where do we draw the line? Like, where do because in a situationship, it means I can hook up with you and I can hook up with anybody else because I'm not committed to you and I don't owe you an explanation or kind of like the disclosure of who else I'm hooking up with. That speaks to like your safety sexually. I mean, Lord knows what you could catch from a situationship, because it just seems like a whole lot of recklessness. It's a whole lot of recklessness. So I feel like, if anything, I don't mind the let's hook up, but not be an item kind of setup. I'm all for that, but there needs to be respect and communication. There needs to be some sort of exclusivity, I think, because you have to respect me as a human being. I think that's my biggest cry with situationships. We blur the lines of respect.
No, I think it's true. After what you just said, he is a self-proclaimed relationship advisor. It's We've just been dropping gems and dropping bars. And I hope that answers all the questions. And you brought up something that's interesting. This is all just like Americans getting into our heads, stuff we're seeing on social media. It's not us. It's not a truly South African
we see
thing.
it on these shows. We see it on Euphoria. We see it on all these, and we're like, oh wow, we're trying to break. We're very traditional. We're still very traditional in our ways, especially when it comes to relationships. Like, if you like somebody, you kind of hit it off, and the moment you start showing interest in someone, all of your attention is kind of focused on that, right?
Yeah.
And these, I'm not gonna blame Americans entirely, but I mean Americans, they've kind of like said, oh no, we're dating, but we're not in a relationship. What are you telling me? What does that even mean? Because the moment, I feel like this whole, for example, they say when you're dating, it's like you're seeing different people and you're kind of weighing your options. But now here's my problem. Now I'm seeing these 5 women, right? I'm seeing 5 women. I'm seeing Patricia. I'm seeing Innocentia. I'm seeing all of these people. The moment Patricia kind of rubs me the wrong way, I pull back and I put more attention here, right, to Innocentia. And the moment the same thing happens there, I pull back from here, and I'm kind of like occasionally, pouring more attention into one more than the other, and that's too convenient. And that doesn't work in a relationship, because in a relationship, I can't wake up and decide, oh no, I'm over Lebang. Let me just go do my own thing. I have to see it through. I have to kind of like find a solution. I have to communicate. Dating doesn't teach you that. So you want to go for somebody who's most fitting in your criteria and who's most convenient, So I don't believe in the concept of dating, of weighing your options or whatever. You can do that in just getting to know somebody casually, like as a friend. That's fine. But don't now, I'm dating, we're going on dates, we're having
All
sex
7
here,
of
we're going on dates, we're having all 7 of us. No, come on, guys. Because it doesn't instill that principle of how we're going to operate in the relationship. Because next thing what's going to happen, as soon as you rub me the wrong way, I go back to that habit of dating, like, I shouldn't have done this. Let me go revisit that guy who was in that, in that dating
messy.
phase.
It's messy.
Too messy.
It's all very messy. Let's just leave it behind us. Let's leave it. As of the 25th of March, 2022, situationships are cancelled. Past 7 o'clock. Let's go for a quick break. It's myself, Leigh-Ann. We have Leigh-Ann in the studio, as well as Lemii LoCo. It's like a triple L takeover. Like the L's are in the building. Okay, I was scared to say that. I thought maybe it'll sound whack, but I said it. Out there to the ether. We'll see you in a bit.
Dr. Emma Southern holds a PhD in ancient history. She's the author of Marriage, Sex and Death. She also co-hosts her own history podcast. History is Sexy, and the podcast is very sexy too.
Caligula, rubbish. Nero, Domitian, all of them are rubbish. A penis appears in the ashes of the hearth of the house and impregnated by the god of the hearth. He's really bitchy about other historians.
Anthony read Agrippina, and he said, "Why are you not a fan of Augustus?"
Some people want to forget all about the 80s. Some people would prefer not to remember the hairstyles, the movies, the fashion, those pants we used to wear. God, those pants we used to wear. Some people would prefer to never hear an 80s song ever again. We are not those people. That 80s show. Music, movies, obscure references, and so many unchecked factoids. Fridays, 9 a.m. on Cliff Central. People say we're stuck in the 80s, like it's a bad thing.
Okay, well, we are back. Oh, some of us are back. Welcome to the show. Myself and Lemii. Friday, the 25th of March. The Gareth Cliff Show. We have one more hour with you until 8 o'clock. And yeah, man, let's have some fun. Let's chill. Let's chat. We have our very own, I guess, relationship guru. Can I refer to you as that? You are our guru.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
We have our in-house guru, Lemii LoCo / comedian / content creator, whatever the things are that you call yourself. I know you are very, very busy, and he's been helping us with some relationship advice. I mean, it's Friday. We just want to take it easy. We don't want to do too much just to get you into the weekend. But I wanted to speak a little bit about traveling. I mean, in as much as we speak quite a bit about money and about how this and that, traveling is something that I personally want to start maybe prioritizing when I get to the point where I can afford it. And I've always told myself that, you know what, starting to travel closer to home is the place to start. And then I'll look at the Balis, the the Thailands, the Nues, the whatever else are popping. So Leigh-Ann, as always, I know you've got the juice, you've got the sauce. You know some of the safest countries to visit in Africa as of 2022. Leigh-Ann is frozen. Can you Lemii? Can you see she's frozen?
Oh,
Leigh-Ann,
I thought it was a pose.
frozen.
I thought she was posing. Oh.
She's definitely not posing. Okay, when we get Leigh-Ann back, she'll share with us some of the safest countries to travel to in Africa. I think a lot of money just goes into traveling abroad, viewing, going all over the place, which is cool. I mean, if you can afford it, go to Europe, go to the States, go do your thing. But like, how often are we investing in traveling in our own continent? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think we do it enough. Hey, I really don't think we do it enough. And it's so crazy because we've got like our own country on our fingertips because it's become more accessible. Tourism has become more accessible. Like there's so many gems. People are sharing it on social media. And people are now open of sharing their trips and how much it costs and things like that. And I don't think we take enough advantage of like the kind of gems we have in terms of tourism in SA.
Yeah. And even in like, let's take it a step back. Never mind Africa as a continent. Here at home, there are so many beautiful
SA
places.
alone, yeah.
Dude, there
SA
are so many
alone.
beautiful places, man. It's lovely. And as you're saying, people are getting like more transparent. They're sharing how much these trips are costing them.
Yeah.
And for the most part, some places are a bit expensive. I know there's a couple, particularly like in Cape Town, there's a couple of like cribs on Airbnb that are like ridiculously priced, like 80,000 rand a night or whatever
Yeah.
the case. If we
Yeah.
can make tourism more accessible and really just more affordable, I think then we'll generally be moving into a better place when it comes to travel and to tourism in South Africa. It'll just be more beneficial for the industry, especially after COVID. It's what they need. I was hoping that after COVID they would have at least taken the prices down, but in some cases they went up.
You know, I don't think it's I'm not gonna say I don't think it's an affordability thing. It definitely is, but I don't think traveling is as expensive as we think it is, because I think it's one of those things where when you start with those, like cheap short lives, just a quick trip here for a weekend or whatever, you get into the groove of traveling, and then you start planning better to travel, and thus making it to like better destinations outside of South Africa, outside of Africa. So I think a lot of the times we make excuses with, oh no, it's too expensive to travel, I can't afford it, it's this, that, and the other. But once you start getting into that groove of like taking that first trip, then your second trip, then your third trip, then you start getting into the groove of, oh, I need to plan better. Let me look outside of, Joburg. Let me look outside of, South Africa.
Yeah, and you actually end up affording it. What's interested me lately is to see how many people are prioritizing almost like group travel, if I can call it that, where it's like get 7 of your friends and there's like a nice discount and blah blah blah, or whatever the case is. I'm always like, this is so exciting, but my first thing is, where the hell am I gonna get 7 people that I fucks with on that level to travel to a whole different province with?
There's that. There's this thing of when you guys start planning, there's like 20 of you guys. Come the day to depart, it's like only 3 of you guys. So
not even the day to depart, the day to send the money. Like, okay,
the day to send them.
Everyone send your 2000s.
Now all of a sudden people are busy, voicemail, it's one tick on WhatsApp. You're like, what? I thought we spoke about this 3 months ago, guys. So I think there's that as well. I wish there could be some sort of, you know how there's Airbnb, right, where you can just log on and find a place to stay or whatever. I wish there was something like that for travelers. Like, okay, we've kind of like, done a background check on these people and they're interested on going on a group trip because it's cheaper as a group, and you could just log on there and just like join a group for a trip, as opposed to because it should. I mean, it's 2022, guys. I mean, nothing doesn't. If we've got NFTs, surely we've got something like that,
No, definitely. I think like planning a trip in itself, like there's an etiquette that comes with this level of patience that you need to have as like the leader, as the maybe self-appointed, or even if they appoint you, like in a group of 20, they say, Lemii, we are choosing you as the guy to plan this trip because you are the planner. You really have to have a lot of patience with people, because people come with stories, bro. I'd rather just travel alone, gunman, let me just go on my way, or with my partner and we keep it moving. The one time I did like a group trip, it only worked out well because the planner was planning like down to the T, following up on payments, making sure the Airbnb had their deposit, making sure that the H1 that we were renting out was hired, like making sure down to the T all the admin stuff is done. But generally people aren't reliable, and that's why I say, where am I going to find people that are like, oh, you want to go to Dubai, all 1,000 of us, let's go.
That's the thing. Like, I'd hate to be that guy. First and foremost, I'd never offer to be the guy that's planning the trip, because I don't have the patience to deal with everybody's excuses when it's time to send the money. Like, okay, dude, we told you 3 months ago. What's going on now? And I mean, now what I do is just me and my partner. We pick a destination. We just go. We clear the calendar for that time, and we just rock. If a friend wants to tag along, then you can tag along. Like, I mean, we make it known to the people close to us that, hey, we're planning to go to this place. Whoever tags along. But other than that, you can't really depend on on like group things anymore, eh?
Yeah,
And also the drama. I don't think I'm ready for the drama of dealing with,
that many
that
people.
drama. There's people that start the drama on the first day of the trip. Now you've got 5-6 days chilling with this tension that you know. And I'm that guy that's always trying to like, oh guys, no, look, let's just all
World
play
peace.
nice, But no. I'm not ready for all of that.
Yeah, look, it's not for all of us. Some people are about it. Some people aren't about it. Something very interesting that's about to happen at 7:30. We actually have two guests that are coming up, and they are both young. They're both teenagers. They're both authors. Like when I think about what I was doing at the age of 13, bro, I was not writing books. I was like, I was trying to get the latest freaking nail polish at least. That's where my head was. The kids today, oh my word, they are mind blowing. Like the more and more time I spend engaging with young people, I think that the kids are going to be okay. I think that maybe we're a bit worried too much. I think they might actually have this, and we should just sort of let them be. We should guide them, but we should definitely, just give them a chance. So at around 7:30, we'll be chatting to Unam Madolo as well as Ungowakho Madolo. They are both authors and they are sisters, and they're going to be chatting to us also just about the books that they've written and, just being a teenager and writing a book. Damn, that's very, very exciting. And of course, it's Friday. So at around 7:45, we'll be chatting to George Meany. He's the CEO of Auto Trader. So he's going to tell us more about what's happening in the world of vehicles. So if that's like right up your alley, then definitely you need to stay tuned to the show. I see a comment from Sanele saying, ha 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 ha. Lemii, love this guy. His videos are hilarious, especially when he tells the kids to go do homework. Lemii, why are you telling kids to go do homework?
No, man, I feel like I can't be giving relationship advice to 12-year-olds and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I encourage free thinking, and I encourage us to be open and whatever. But some of the questions these kids ask me, I think all that energy and all, just put it on homework, man. Just do your homework, and then when the time is right, we'll talk about relationships.
Yeah, no, I feel you. And like kids younger and younger looking at this dating world like it's a real thing. It's actually very messy. Simpuem Teta, some card is saying, I love girl trips. The past few years I've done group weekends away with the girls. Usually there's about 4 of us, and that seems to be a perfect number. See, four's nice. Four's manageable,
4 is very manageable. I don't think people normally flake out, in a group of 4. Everybody's usually excited to go on the trip, and it's like, oh, okay, let's do this. Anything more than that, it needs, somebody with a heart of steel, man. You need to have a heart of steel and just the patience of like I don't know what, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Tiger DC in the comments is asking, yo, Lemii, are you single?
Hey, no, I'm not single, unfortunately. Fortunately, no, I'm not going to say it's unfortunate. It's fortunate to my partner that I'm not single. Yeah, but no, the answer is no, I am not single. I'm in a very healthy 3-year-long relationship.
That's good. Wow, 3 years.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, man. So you're not speaking like out of your ass. This is like actually your real life. That's nice to know.
What's the crazy thing is, right? When I started giving out the relationship advice, it was out of it. You know what? People that are not in relationships always give the best relationship advice, only for myself to end up in like a really serious relationship. But yeah,
And
man, I'm not single.
Like that. Like when you're not looking, that's when love is just gonna like boom, it's gonna land, and then
most of the time it's always that. And I think I always say, for everybody who's single out there and looking, I always say, sometimes the problem is not that you keep falling into the wrong relationship. Sometimes it's your criteria. You need to have a step back and look at your criteria. Is it realistic? Is it really what you want? Is it speaking to the right things in your life? But come on, I mean, sometimes our criteria is the problem. Oh, I want a woman who's like, who owns this much, who's got her own place and what. Sometimes we don't even have half the things we expect from our partners. Not just material stuff, but like, I mean, emotionally, like, are we ready to give what we're expecting from the next person? And that's kind of like puts us in between a rock and a hard place as far as finding the right person. You know, there's a
So
lot
you
of
better
interest.
yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of introspection that needs to happen before you get into a relationship, because that makes conflict management a lot easier. You know,
Mm,
like if something rubs you the wrong way, you need to understand why it rubs you the wrong way, and you need to understand how you're gonna address it for the benefit of the relationship, so that it's just not a random fight. You know, there's never
sure.
such a thing as a random fight in a relationship, because it speaks to things that you're uncomfortable with and what your partner is uncomfortable with, and you need to address those things. If you don't understand that, then there's no way that you can keep like a healthy relationship.
100%. One of my faves on the show, Dude 69, he's saying, make sure that you like the people that you're traveling with. I unfortunately got locked up for 24 hours in Bali because of my stupid older brother who started a fight and the cops grabbed me. And unfortunately, he hates that guy.
Oh
By that
wow,
guy,
wow.
his brother.
Wow. But that's
Yeah.
that's a that's a very important one. Make sure you like those people. I did a
Mm.
trip last year sometime. Okay, obviously I couldn't choose the people I was on, like it was work, so people got to win a free trip to hang out with me for like 5 days in Durban.
Ooh.
And it
Heck,
was an all expenses paid trip and whatever, so I couldn't pick the winners,
the
like the
winners,
company
yeah.
chose the winners. And there was this one lady who kept like in front of my girlfriend throwing
Mm,
herself at me, and
oh, no.
I didn't know what to do, like from start to finish. I was like, this is going to be a long 5 days, and it
Yeah, that's
really
actually
was.
more
So I
acceptable.
think it's important to go on trips with people that you actually like.
But also, like, Dude 69, like, you have to forgive your brother. Dude, you have to forgive him. If your brother
Yeah.
has started a fight and you end up in jail, sure, that's lame. But like, he's your brother though. Just like forgive him and keep it
Yeah.
moving. You can't harbor that anger towards him, because then you'll never look at Bali the same, bro. You'll never look at
But
Bali
he
the same.
but he surely owes you for life. Hey, he
Yeah,
owes you
yeah,
for
yeah,
life.
yeah,
He
yeah.
owes you one for life.
Straight up, straight up. No, I think generally, if you have the ability to pick the people that you'll be traveling with, then you're very, very lucky. But as you mentioned, like in work situations, like what do you do? I know at the radio station that I used to work at, there was this like annual sort of like work trip that we'd all go to,
Mm.
and they actually it was just debauchery, to be honest. There was no work that was happening whatsoever. People would just go for a week to drink and get turned up, and that was that,
Yeah.
because that's the industry, right? And like when you think about, that setting, you're not really friends with these people. These aren't
Yeah.
your people like that. Now it's like, okay, pick a roommate. Yo, I must actually live with this person for a week. I don't know anybody like that. And now you're forced to
Mm.
be in this situation. And I specifically remember a very uncomfortable situation where one of the girls who I chose to room with, I actually ended up regretting it, because she ended up like just, having turning our room, basically our hotel room, was the trap house of the trip.
Yo.
Like
So
everybody,
everybody used to come there and rock.
it was always our room. Like, nah, those girls are definitely gonna have liquor. Those girls got it going on. They've got the loudest sound system. That's where it's happening. And at that time, I'm doing the breakfast show. I need to be up at like 4 a.m. so I can start
Yeah.
work, but I can't. Why? Because it's a 10 up. It's a party.
I'd
So
be
yeah,
I'd I'd be I'd be losing my shit, eh?
nah, dude, I was definitely an unhappy individual. It was very uncool. But also we're young. You're young, and
Yeah.
sometimes it is what it is. And it's a work thing. Am I gonna complain to the bosses and be like, hi, thank you for this all expenses paid trip, but I'm out? Nah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not
There's
gonna do
also
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So let me just before we introduce our guests, like what do you have coming up, bro? Like obviously we know you've got the videos, the content creations coming up, the relationships going well, the brands are recognizing you. You mentioned that you do want to be in the game for the long run and not
Yeah.
just here today and gone tomorrow type thing. So what do you have coming up? Where can we look out for your stuff, and yeah, what can we expect from you, bro?
Yeah, man, look, I'm definitely gonna keep doing the videos. People seem to be loving that. So expect more relationship advice videos on Instagram, and you can find them on Twitter as well, find them on TikTok as well. I'm gonna be doing some more stuff with Netflix. I did a couple of ads
Ooh,
with them last year. So I'm gonna be
nice.
I will and I've just finished one other campaign with them that's actually going live today. So I'll be doing
Awesome.
more work with Netflix. That's kind of like really exciting. And there's a sports show that I'm going to be on that's launching soon. So you know, anybody who knows me knows that I love soccer through and through. So there's that coming up as well. But other than that, man, just great entertainment. I hope to be on more of your TV shows and stuff like that. Like somebody get me on a TV show, guys. Please, somebody out there, get me on a TV show.
And please get Lemii onto a TV show.
Yeah, somebody get me on a TV show. You know, even if I'm that guy, you know, like in soapies and stuff, like when they have to transition from one corner of the room to another, then there's a waiter just carrying something, and the camera just follows that guy. So even if it's that, guys, come on, give me something. Give me something.
You'll be
You'll be
that guy with you'll be that guy with the one line, and you can always pick them up in movies because they like over dramatize it so that they can, you know, get into the next big role. So it'll be like,
I'm good with that.
Excuse me, ma'am, you dropped your serviette.
even that's good. Even that's good. Somebody just get me out there. I'm willing to do that. Excuse me, ma'am line.
Man, okay. Well, that's very interesting and exciting. I hope that somebody makes that happen for you. Like anybody listening, if you need an extra, Lemmie's your guy. He seems like he's ready to go. Leigh-Ann, welcome back. Before you disappeared, we were actually speaking a little bit about traveling in groups and traveling just, you know, 2 people or whatever. But I actually wanted to speak to you about the safest countries that we, you know, can be traveling to, especially in Africa in the year 2022. I know that you have a little more information about that. And she's frozen again. Yeah, look, I think at this stage we are not meant to know. We must not travel to Africa. We must not know where it's safe.
Oh man. And I was looking forward to that one because I want to go outside the country this year.
Bruh, like my pen and my notebook already just to hear what Leigh-Ann has to say. Okay, cool. I think let's give her a chance to figure that out. Okay, cool. Well, luckily our guests are ready and they have arrived. I did say earlier that, you know, being a teenager, from my memory, I was just interested in things like sports, in boys, nail polish, clothes, definitely music. Like, you know, I was like writing rhymes in my little rap books and stuff. That's like it for me. That's as far as it went in terms of like writing stuff. But we have 2 young authors. Like, they are legit authors. They are freaking beautiful. They are passionate. They are inspiring. And when I came across their story online, I was just so intrigued by the fact that, you know, these girls are out here doing the things. They're really doing the most. So Leigh-Ann, we'll have to come back to your question about Africa, like while your Wi-Fi decides if we're worthy of you.
I hate the control that it has over us. Damn it.
Dude. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite our guests, our 2 young guests, our authors who are going to be hanging out with us for the next couple of moments. Ungowakho Madolo, as well as her younger sister, Unam Madolo. Both authors, both young, both absolutely beautiful, and like clearly teenagers who are just doing the most. Ladies, welcome to the show. And thank you for making the time to speak to us. How are you guys doing?
Hello, thank you so much for having us. I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well as well. How are you doing?
Oh, we good. I'm just so excited to talk to you guys. Like, I was just saying that, you know, being a teenager for me 200 years ago was completely different to how it is now. I mean, you guys are authors. You both have written books. First and foremost, like, where did this come from? Is this like something you thought, oh, I'm 13, I'm 11, let me write a book? Or is this like, what inspired you guys to really just get into the groove of becoming authors and writing your own books?
I honestly just love writing. Like, I've always loved writing, whether it was like fairy tales or just in my diary or something like that. So I'm just like, why don't I just try to write like a motivational book? Because I've also seen like people trying to be different people who they're not. So I was like, no, it's cool to be you. So that's basically what, yeah.
For me, it was mainly my parents who inspired me to write the book because I don't like writing really. So my parents actually used to take us to like seminars when we were small. So that inspired me to write the book because I noticed that a lot of adults were in the seminars instead of like younger people. So I wanted us to be more equipped when we're younger so that like when we're older, it's just like life is easier than what it would be if you weren't that prepared.
Yeah. And I see like your books are generally about like different things. You know, you guys really allowed your personalities to shine individually. Like Unam, your book is called Cool to Be You, which is really just about not being afraid to be yourself. Is there like a certain situation that you maybe went through, or what was it about, the title Cool to Be You, and really encouraging people just to be themselves and not to be afraid of themselves as at the age of 13? Like, what is it that you've experienced that you were able to share with the world about, just being themselves and owning that?
So ever since like a young age, I've always been like living in my sister's shadow because she was like the smart one. I was just like her little sister. And teachers and everyone was like, be more like your sister. And I'm like, what about me? So
Yeah.
like I was actually my confidence was sort of like disrupted by that. But then
Okay.
my mom and my dad they were just like, no, you're cool. You're cool just the way you are. So I'm like, cool. That would be like a nice thing to say. This would be
Yeah.
a nice thing to do. So I'm like, yeah, it's cool to be you.
I love that, and I'm looking at the pictures of the books right now. Actually, it's so colorful. It's like nice and bright, and it's very clearly for a young person. Cool to Be You. It's got the bright pink with the dog. I think it's really really nice. Ungowakho, now your book is called Slay for Real, and you decided to redefine the definition of slay, because slay as we know it, it's kind of like do your thing and keep it
Yeah.
moving. What
True.
did you redefine the term slay to be?
So I redefined, the definition is also at the back of the book. So I
Okay.
redefined slay as basically to become the best version of yourself, instead of it being more materialistic things like having weaves and being expensive and all of that. So that's how I redefined slay in my book.
And where would you put mental wellness, with regards to how general society perceives materialism and so on? Where does that come in with Slay for Real, the book?
Please like rephrase your question. I'm not sure I really understand the
So,
question.
so basically, what I'm saying is, I know that you've redefined the term slay, but also, how society views, materialism as such a big thing. And it's almost as though that is the in thing to do. If you, as you mentioned, have the big weaves and the long hair and the nails and the big cars or whatever,
Mhm.
you are slaying in inverted commas. But you switched
Oh,
it up and made slay your own thing. And it obviously has some sort of effect on, mental wellness of society in general. So I guess
yeah.
I'm asking, what was your intention in writing about growing the mindset of people in this book?
Okay, so my intention in terms of individuals was for them to look at their own mindset and how they're thinking in terms of um, materialistic things over like emotional intelligence or just intelligence in general. So I just wanted people to think about what they prioritize. Is it how people look on the outside, or is it what's on the inside, or like just basically emotional well-being and emotional intelligence over materialistic things, because you can be rich, you can have all of the brands and everything, but if you're not emotionally mature, what
Mm.
really do you have in life? So that's what I was trying to get people to think about.
Yo, how old are you again? Yo, I know that's very hectic. So, Unam, I know that you wrote 2 movies, and apparently you're venturing into business. How are these activities changing like your view on the world?
It's definitely opened my mind to different sort of arty kind of things because to be honest, like my love for film and movies haven't started like it only started like 2 years ago. Before
Yeah.
that, I wasn't interested in movies at all. But then, like with lockdown and all, like movies were like the only thing that you could actually do. So I was like, hey, this is actually interesting. What if I wrote like my own movie? And it's actually like very fun to do. With my fashion business, I've decided to like take a little break from that and focus on my movies. But it's also like impacted my world of art like a lot.
Mm. That's great. Now, guys, I can imagine that your parents had like a big role or played a big role in the success of your guys' books and encouraging you guys obviously to be more creative. If there was one thing that you would both say to your parents, like, you know, after seeing the success of your work and having them on your team, what would you guys say to your parents?
So they're actually here, right now. So I'm also gonna say, Mama and Daddy, thank you for the way that you raised us in general, and thank you for not like conforming to the other parenting styles that people used, and just like looking for what you think is best for us. And thank you for not listening to us when we were too lazy to go to seminars and lessons and all of that. Thank you for just always looking to what's best for us, no matter how we're feeling in that moment. Just knowing that it's going to impact us positively in the future.
Wow.
Okay,
That's-
mine will
Oh
be.
man.
I think mine will be a less profound than that. But I'd like to say thank you for raising us with like the morals that we carry today, and we'll carry on into the future. And I'd just like to say thank you for always just like being there for us, always like accepting our differences and not trying to push us in one direction.
yeah.
And especially for me, because of the whole be my gay sister thing. I'd like to say thank you for like loving me for me and not trying to turn me into someone else.
Damn, I am gonna shed a tear. This is so loving and so sweet. Leigh-Ann, Lemii, I don't know if you guys would like to ask our authors anything.
No, nothing on this side.
Go
I'm
for
just
it.
sitting here wondering, what was I doing with my life all this time? You know,
Oh, yeah.
these young ladies are so amazing. It's so amazing.
Thank
but
you.
but you know, it's really impressive. I think your books could inspire even people a lot older than you guys, you know, because you know it really sounds very genuine. It's written from a good place. And I'm just loving your work. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
I just
Very,
think
very
it's
sweet.
amazing to witness that you have. I'm sure you have ups and downs with parents. We all do, but it seems like your relationship is genuinely wholesome, and that you have a friendship, and that's something to really cherish. We're so lucky as kids to have parents who are present and interested in our lives. And it's just so nice to see that you're grateful for that and that you see that. We're lucky to be in that situation. It's not like that for everyone. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very
Mhm.
true. Very true. Moonchild in the comments is saying it's so good to see young people achieving such great things at a young age. The world is their oyster, and that's absolutely correct. If at this age you guys are already doing what you're doing, I can just imagine when you get to like, you know, after your 20s, your 30s. I mean, yeah, like, just take over. If you're already writing movies, take over, take it and run with it. And the fact that you have your parents' support, you are extremely lucky, extremely lucky. So never take advantage of that. So where can we find your guys' books if we want to get into them?
Okay, so both of our books are at Exclusive Books, but the branch in Rosebank specifically, Exclusive Books, and then also at Maponya Mall in the Lifestyle Bookstore. Oh, and you can also get it like personally delivered to you. So with that, you'd need to WhatsApp my mom at 083 304 2795 in order to get them personally delivered.
Love that. Love that. So cool to
That
be
should be
you.
the title of your
Yeah?
next book. WhatsApp my mom. It's like talk to my lawyer.
Leigh-Ann, I think you should stay in contact with them so you can just like give them some advice on, you know, moving forward, like names, titles
yes,
of your book.
yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Man, I hope you really just take this and run with it. This is really, really exciting. I hope that there's other young people that can be inspired. Not even just young people, even us who are way older than you. I hope that this motivates us to also like just go after our dreams and just really use our talents and our creative gifts, which I believe all of us have, you know, to take over the world. So thank you so much. Thank you to your parents as well for allowing you to participate in this. That was Ungowakho Madolo as well as Unam Madolo, 13 years old. authors, very young, very beautiful, just doing God's work. Don't you guys feel bad now? Like, what have we done with our lives, guys? Like, really?
Hey man, I was thinking like I was playing Pokemon at 13, you know, like I should have been doing something more serious with my life, man.
Bruh.
Yeah. I was like picking out which bikini would be best to wear to the beach and you know what the 16-year-olds were doing. That's all I was obsessed with.
Right?
Being
And
older.
yeah, exactly. And also when you were younger, well, for me, I remember wanting to be older, like quickly. I remember saying, oh,
All the
I wish
time.
I was
Oh,
18.
what a
Oh, I
scam.
wish I was 25. The
What a
biggest
scam.
scam known to man.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. I tell my kids all the time, like, don't rush. Just enjoy what you've got going on, because when you get here, you'll realize that someone has played you. You've been fooled.
Yes. Especially because they're still living for free, you know, they should enjoy it while it's still lost. But
Yeah.
it's the biggest scam, man. I think all I wanted to do was, you know, when I said, can't wait till I'm older, is to buy booze legally, you know, and watch adult stuff legally, you know. But now I'm like, you know what? Take me back.
Yeah.
Jesus, take me back to 15. I think I was better off when I was 15.
Dude, like life was so simple then. You didn't have to worry about any of this crap. Carl Dos Santos in the comments is saying, can we get these ladies some of that Netflix money? Hey, now we're talking.
Yeah, now
Now
we're
we're
talking.
talking. I mean, if she's already got 2 movies that she's like written, you know, let's make it happen. I mean, that would be interesting to see. But hey, as Lemmy said, if Papa Cyril is there, hey,
Yeah. And if
but
they need if they need an actor, I'm here. I'm here. You know, if they're casting any people already, I'm here.
oh man, it looks like your Wi-Fi is working again. So can you please try your best to share with us where in Africa we can travel to? Please, like, where is it safe for us to go? We want to actually put some money into traveling around the continent.
So I always like these stories because they're generally written by people who are not African. And when I say like, I mean that sarcastically. Because, you know, that they're the experts on what in Africa is dangerous and what is safe. But there is actually an index that you can work on. There's a specific index where they take the safety of destinations into context, whether it's political crime, national disasters, all of that sort of thing. But here they are, and especially because now that we're starting to travel, I think we've ventured out into the rest of South Africa, and I think now's the next step, and we should be venturing out into the rest of Africa. So there are some obvious ones that are, you know, on the list. Number 10 is Mauritius. So those sort of islandy holiday places are definitely up there. In 9th place is Botswana. And accompanied with that are a number of images of just these sort of peaceful pastures with cows and still waters. Just looks absolutely amazing. In 8th place is Malawi, thinking in particular of the Great Rift Valley, Lake Malawi. I mean, Lake Malawi is like an ocean.
It's gorgeous.
Just without the sharks, which is a huge benefit. Ghana is right up there. And obviously visiting there is just amazing in terms of the weather, and it's a safe and stable place. In 6th place is Zambia. And, you know, we think about all of the wilderness areas there that there are to take in and to enjoy in nature. In 5th place, Tanzania, thinking there along the lines of their majestic mountain falls, or maybe just waterfalls.
Yeah.
We don't need the mountain to fall, just the water off the mountain. In 4th place is Rwanda. And that's apparently right up there because one of the things is that the residents are extremely kind and friendly. Obviously,
That's a good
Rwanda,
start.
I think of gorilla trekking safaris. That's one of the most popular things to do in Rwanda. In third place, Namibia, which is right on our border, obviously. And I think what's amazing there is that you've got the very rare thing of having a desert reach the sea, which is really beautiful. And second place, the Seychelles. I've been to the Seychelles 3 times, and I'm embarrassed to admit that I didn't realize they were part of Africa. It just felt like such a far.
I was about to say, wait, is that Africa? I just kept quiet.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like,
okay,
but it feels like it's in the middle of 2 continents, which is maybe why I was a bit confused. But hell, I'm very proud to claim that as an African, that's for sure. And the number 1 safest spot in Africa to visit, any guesses? Because it's quite close to home. Which country?
It's not Mozambique.
I'll give you some clues. Calming forests, close-ish. Calming forests, tourist attractions, friendly people again, and it's one of Southern Africa's gems, and it's Eswatini.
Oh, wow.
Oh, of course.
Oh.
Really? Like, safest?
That's according to the indexes.
Like,
and again, are these things put together by people who don't actually live on the continent? Who knows?
Yeah. It's sounding like a slight reach. I mean, I remember when there were, I guess it was during the time of protest, so it's not how it always is there. But I remember like how violent and gory it got there, and how they were really just trying to like push everything under the rug so that people don't find out. And that king was just like, yo, shoot to kill. You see anyone disobeying? Bah. Soldiers were going into people's houses, raping. Bah. It was lit there. So, maybe things have changed.
Yeah.
How,
and I saw
how
recently
do we trust these scales?
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently, the king passed a law recently saying that every man should marry 3 wives. I don't know how true that is, but based on that, I think I might want to go visit Swaziland.
Now it's looking like a place where you want to go.
Just to fact check, just for research purposes, just to check. But I don't know. I saw an article. I bumped into an article saying, I don't know. You can never fully trust the internet these days, but I bumped into an article that said that.
Sure. How many wives does he have now? He's on a roll. Like,
I don't think he knows. I don't think he's kept count of how many wives he's got. But
no. I remember he had bought like a Rolex for each one of his wives and like his direct family. I think he bought so many Rolexes. It was unbelievable. And not even those like entry level Rolexes. Those last number. Those ones where it's like it's those like it's for extremely wealthy people. He bought everyone in his family one of those. He buys things in bulk. He'll be like, "Hey, BMW, hi, it's me, King Swati. Yeah, can I please have 45 of your latest?" And they'll just say, "Sure, swipe here." And he just does it. Like everybody always has the top of the range everything. Except for the people at the bottom, unfortunately. The poor people are suffering.
I was about to say, apparently the poverty gap there is like ridiculously
insane.
Yeah. So man, let's hope it's not as bad as they make it out to seem.
Yeah. In a related article that I read, and it was one of those, if you enjoyed this, you'll enjoy that. Is that South Africa was recently named, and thank you, Carl. You're right, it's indices, not indexes. I'm very embarrassed as a grammar lover myself, so thank you. South Africa's been named as the place with the biggest disparity between rich and poor. Yes, we really do have the whole range. And I mean, that's really difficult to manage. I wouldn't want to be the person to sort that out. Sure.
Yeah, and where do you start? It's a very layered one. And every time you sort of bring it up, it kind of gets a little bit uncomfortable, because it's like, what do you do? How do you fix it? If you could, you would, but yeah, some things it's like a collective. The solution is in, like, I think, collectively coming together and finding the answers, because the problems are just so layered. But speaking of layers, I've got good news for you, Leigh-Ann. Guess who's here?
Bet you it's
George.
Forge.
Yes, it's George O'Clock. Morning, George. How you doing? The CEO of Auto Trader is in the building, and he is obviously every week he just comes through and tells us everything that we need to know about cars, what's happening. George, before you start, this is Lemii LoCo. He is a young man who's interested in sports, money, and relationships, but I'm sure somewhere in there's cars. So let me feel free to ask questions at any point. George, over to you.
100%.
Good morning. Nice to meet you. I think cars permeate everything that we do. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what it is. You got to get around. It gives you a sense of freedom. Even if you're using Uber, you're still in a car.
Yep.
So cars permeate everything. But I don't know if you saw the video that did the rounds a little while back, where a Tesla decided, or should I say a Tesla driver, not a Tesla driver decided to do a jump stunt in Los Angeles.
I saw that.
Yeah, so if you can see that, can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll play the video for you so that you can get the context. Hold on a second.
It looks like something out of Need for Speed or Grand Theft Auto or like one of these shows. It's crazy.
Unbelievable. Crashed into a Subaru. So you can see there, it crashed into a Subaru. And here's a different angle. Those streets in Los Angeles and San Francisco, they've got these bumps. And this guy decided, in his infinite wisdom, that he was going to try his hand at ramping over this bump. So
a lot of time spent in the air.
Exactly. They still can't find the driver of this Tesla. So the police are looking for the driver of the Tesla, can't find him. But the guy that he crashed into, the owner of the Subaru Forester, and this just goes to show the nature of human beings, I think, in many ways. The owner of the Subaru Forester launched a GoFundMe fund and asked people to help him and his goal was to replace the Subaru or get it fixed. And he's just made enough money from everybody's donations to fix his Subaru Forester that this silly Tesla driver drove into.
Oh, that's interesting. That is so interesting. So the Tesla driver is just on the run, like, first and foremost. Like, we don't know. Yeah, but if that was you, George, would you say, hey, guys, it's me. I'm the one who actually did that? Like, no one's actually going to come forward and admit, because that was just some very idiotic, morony type behavior. Like, maybe somebody dared him or her to do that. And yeah, no, it didn't look safe at all.
You see it in the movies, those stunts, they do them all the time. So some idiot decided that in his infinite wisdom, he was going to try the stunt, not realizing he can actually kill himself and other people.
Yeah,
I mean, first of all, I wouldn't do a stupid thing like that, I hope. Second of all, he's gonna get handcuffs if he does get caught.
Sure. But honestly, America, nothing is surprising. Like, if there's any country that something like that would happen in, it's definitely America. So that's just what they be doing out there.
Exactly. And then sticking with America.
Oh, no. Did we lose George as well? George, come in. Man. Over. Yeah, no, the Wi-Fi is fighting today. Oh, man.
Hey, it's fighting.
It's fighting us. Like, we lost a whole Leigh-Ann earlier, and now George is also just suffering. We might have it back, sort of. Okay. George, let us know when you're back. That stunt was scary. I won't lie. When I first saw that video, I was like,
I didn't even think it was real.
Dude.
I didn't even think it was real.
Because how can it be real, right?
Yeah, no ways, no ways. I don't know who in their right mind decided, okay, guys, just take your phones out, start recording. I'm going to show you something.
Yeah, someone's
That
child
must have
definitely.
been staged. Must have been staged.
Yeah.
Had to
Yeah.
have.
All right, George.
So two filling stations again in the United States. One decided to sue the other because in this particular state, apparently it is against the laws of that state to sell anything below cost. Okay, so this one filling station was selling petrol for and in the world at the moment where petrol price is rising, so we're selling petrol for 20 rand and 21 cents per liter, whereas the other filling station was selling petrol for 62 rand per liter. They were selling petrol for way under the cost of what they could acquire the petrol at, and so the other filling station decided in their anger to sue the filling station that was giving the discount. Can you believe in today's day and age that you would be sued for selling something cheaper than it should be?
Look, firstly,
Wow.
George, what is the name of that filling station and how soon can we get it in South Africa? Because we're going to need it. We need us some of that
Yeah.
discounted petrol. And secondly, they just mad. The other petrol stations just upset, clearly, because,
Yeah.
the supply, I mean, there's clearly a cheat code here. I didn't know that you could, sue another petrol station because you're upset. Clearly.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what happened. But apparently they're citing the bylaws of that state, saying that it is against the law in that state for companies to sell things under the cost of acquisition, which I think is silly. I mean, if you want, you get things like loss leaders. For instance, sometimes people they will sell Coca-Cola below the cost of what they bought the Coca-Cola for, the retail store. But that's to get you into the retail store. You buy other stuff, and then they make an overall profit. I think it's a good business strategy, to be honest. You can't get upset if somebody decides that they're going to sell something below the cost that they bought it. Good for them. They're going to get more customers.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that just sounds like selfishness. Speaking of petrol in America, I don't know if you guys saw that video of that guy who was actually trying to steal petrol from that other guy's car, and he caught him red-handed. That video took me out. Oh my word, George, I don't know if you saw it. I wish you could play it. It's so lit. And the thing is, like, the way this guy gets busted, he's holding the jar with like the pipe attached to it. He's about to steal the petrol. And then this guy like is recording him and he says, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm just so sorry, man. Like, you caught me. It's just like I just ran out of gas. I'm sorry. I just, you busted me. You caught me. Yeah, like," and it just kind of ends there. Like, if I see somebody trying to jack my petrol from my tank, your ass is getting beat. I'm not waiting for an apology.
People.
No. Anyway, George, over to you.
So next story is a speed skater, a speed ice skater. So let me show you the image. A speed skater decided to try and break the world record at speed skating, and built this little house or cover, that if you want to call it, and to stop the wind resistance, and managed to reach a speed of 103 kilometers per hour on his skates.
So there's a guy on his skates, in some sort of like, it looks like a bit of a dome, which, as you mentioned, is to get the wind control. And there's like a big 4x4 sort of just like pulling this dome, for all of you that are listening and not watching. And what, George, he actually managed to break the record?
He managed to break the speed record, did 103 kilometers per hour, and it was in Norway. Nobody's ever skated on a pair of skates that fast before.
That quick. That's impressive.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Wow.
It just shows you how wind resistance stops speed effectively.
Yeah.
Nice. Kudos to them in Norway.
Exactly. Kudos to them in Norway. And then very finally, 8 reasons South African insurance companies reject insurance claims. So 8 reasons.
Wait, I need to get a notebook and a pen for this one. Wait, give me okay, I've got my phone out. Okay, go.
Here we go. So reason number 1, unlicensed driver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unlicensed driver. If you don't have a license, your insurance ain't going to pay. That's just one of those things. Reason number 2, the driver is not the regular driver. Okay, so in a lot of insurance contracts, check your insurance contract, because in many cases, if you have to specify another driver if you want someone else to drive your car and you want the insurance company to still cover the car. So the driver is not the regular driver.
Okay.
So wait. So are you saying even if I'm registered as a secondary driver, the insurance could reject the claim?
No. So if you're registered with the insurance company under the insurance contract as an alternate driver, yes, then the insurance will cover it. But if you just let any random drive your car and it's not specified, many insurance contracts won't cover it.
So basically, don't let people.
Okay, I see. I follow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how many times do you allow people to move your car, fetch your car? I mean, I don't, but some people do.
And it always ends in tears. Always.
Yep, exactly. Then a third reason: driver under the influence of alcohol. I think this one we could have guessed.
Yeah.
But if you're drunk and you have an accident, insurance company could refute your claim.
Yeah, and they should. I think they should. Like, you shouldn't be drinking and driving.
No, you shouldn't be drinking and driving. And then satellite tracking data. So if your car gets stolen, the claim could be rejected if the original insurance agreement or the original insurance contract was with a tracker installed. And if that tracker is not installed, or it's found that the tracker was removed or switched off, or you've cancelled the subscription, you've breached the potential insurance contract. So satellite tracker data.
That would suck.
Oh, yeah.
We're quite dependent on those things. Hey, we just like, oh no, the tracking system will sort it out. That could actually backfire. Oof.
Well, and some people get into a bit of a financial pinch. Like the first thing that goes, hold on, let's cancel the tracking subscription. So don't cancel your tracking subscription unless you tell your insurance company. And then insufficient cover. So a lot of people don't realize that maybe your car's not covered for things like fire. What about theft? Is it fully covered for theft? So that's the fifth reason insurance companies refute claims. And then mechanical failure. Remember, insurance companies are not there to cover mechanical failure. They're there to cover accidental damage, stolen, those kinds of things. They're not there to cover mechanical failure.
But they must also tell us, George. I feel like sometimes they don't tell you that specific thing. You just kind of assume that, okay, well, if I get car insurance, that means mechanical this, theft. But you literally are under the impression that this covers everything. They almost omit that specifically so that, if something does happen, when you try to claim, it's like, well, ma'am, did you read the fine print? It clearly states that we do not cover mechanical. And then you're like, what? You feel duped.
Yeah, it's like we're baited with the low prices. Like, you could save X amount on this cover. I just can't think they just dropping a whole lot of other stuff in the cover.
Yeah. Just ask your insurance company, what are you not covering?
That's a good one.
Good question to ask. Or you heard it here first, just right on Cliff Central. So, check. Exactly. The seventh reason is inspection not carried out. So remember, when your car gets insured, the car has to get inspected. The insurance company has to verify that that car exists, it's in good condition, and it's the way it's been described. So there is a window period that the insurance company gives you once you get covered to get the car inspected. And most of the time you can get it inspected at places like GlassFit or PG Auto Glass. Those places, are inspection centers for insurance companies. So make sure that when you cover your car, you get the car inspected, and that it's verified that the insurance company has inspected the car.
Yeah, no, that sounds like you'd obviously have to get that done. Otherwise, you're totally screwed.
And here's another one that I think a lot of people don't, or should I say, don't take notice of or miss. And that is using your car for business when you've listed it as a private use vehicle.
What? Really?
There is a difference between insurance premiums when you list the car as being used for business purposes. And if you're using your car for business purposes, be careful. The insurance company could come back to you and say to you, hold on a second, you used that car and it was in an accident during a business type activity. You listed this car as for private use.
Yo,
So
it seems like
just
you'll
a quick
find
one.
anything.
Wow, just a quick one, George. So for somebody like me who's like a DJ, right? And I buy a car in my own personal capacity, should I then like register it as like a business vehicle because I'm going to go work with the car? Or
No,
does that
so
still-
remember, travel to and from your place of work is private travel.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're using your car to produce your income as a DJ, like for instance, you're carrying speakers around, or you're carrying equipment around, and you're using it for business purposes. That's using it for business work. But actually using it to commute to work and back, or using it to commute to a gig and back, that's actually private use.
Okay, got it.
That's a relief, because I was about to say, hey. But, I know it's almost time for you to go, but can we squeeze in one last question? That one from Simpure. She's asking, please, can you inform us on gap cover when getting your car insurance?
Well, quite often there are things that, like for instance, your excess or your, there's a difference between your financed amount of the car versus the value of your car. Your car could be worth less than what the financed amount is. And you can take out additional insurance, and they often call it gap cover, to cover those shortfalls. So that you're not out of pocket when something bad happens.
Okay, I mean that's clear enough. Simpure, I hope you're happy with that with that response. Usnaye Zulu in the comments is saying, Simpure, I took a gap cover when I bought my car, but then I forgot to cancel it when my car was below the retail value, and unfortunately I couldn't be refunded for all the payments. I was pissed. Oh, that sounds horrible. Oh, that's so unfortunate. That's so messed up.
Exactly.
George, thank you as always for letting us know what's happening in the world of cars every single Friday. As well, if you are even more interested in what's happening in the world of cars, there is the Auto Trader Pod, which is brought to you by Auto Trader. Shout out to you, George. Have a good weekend. I know that today is payday, but I don't know if that affects you. You're the CEO of Auto Trader. You probably it's payday all the time. Like, I'm just making a grand assumption here. But
no, you're making a grand assumption, and payday for everybody, no matter what.
Okay, so we're all feeling in a bit of a brighter mood. That's dope. Lemii, thank you so much for being the co-host of the show today. You did an exceptional job. I think you were the funny guy that you are online and in real life. It's nice to know that you are who you are. You present yourself as yourself. You didn't con us into believing you're this funny guy. So thank you as well for your time, and thank you most importantly to you at home for listening and for constantly choosing the Gareth Cliff Show. The good news is that Gareth is back on Monday. Yay! Exciting. He's back from Mexico. Hopefully he can bring us some tequila. But thank you if you did manage to stick around with us. The team takeover was very daunting, but it was so exciting and so dope to be able to get to know you. So shout out to all of our faves, Carl Dos Santos, Christy, everybody at home that comments. I love you guys. And thank you for listening and for sticking through. And have a good weekend. Bye, George. Bye, Lemii. And bye to you at home listening. We shall see you on Monday. Bye.
Cheers.